Part 1. The Ultimatum. The massive ship hung in the darkness of space like a silver moon. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood on the bridge, watching the small blue planet through the viewing screen. Earth looked peaceful from this distance. He had visited hundreds of worlds in his career, and they all looked the same at first. Small, quiet, waiting to be welcomed into the great galactic empire. Commander Taimin stood beside him, arms crossed over his decorated uniform. The military man looked bored. This was supposed to be a simple mission: travel to Earth, offer them membership in the Empire, accept their gratitude, move on to the next primitive world. They had done this 1,000 times before. Send the standard greeting, Hyunwoo said to the communications officer. Let them know we come in peace. The officer worked at his console for a moment, then frowned. Ambassador, we are receiving a transmission from the planet. They contacted us first, Hyunwoo raised an eyebrow. That was unusual. Most species were too frightened or too excited to think clearly when the Empire arrived. He nodded. Put it through. A woman appeared on the screen. She wore a simple gray suit and sat behind a desk. Her black hair was pulled back and her expression was calm. Too calm. Behind her, Hyunwoo could see flags from different Earth nations and a symbol he did not recognize. I am Director Ji-won of the Terran Interstellar Affairs Office, the woman said. Her voice was steady and clear. Welcome to the Sol system. I'm afraid I must inform you that your presence here violates our territorial boundaries. The Galactic Empire is hereby banned from entering Terran space. You have 72 hours to leave our system. Any ship that remains after that time will be removed by force. Silence filled the bridge. Hyunwoo stared at the screen. Taimin's mouth had fallen open. The communications officer looked confused, as if he had heard wrong. I apologize, Hyunwoo said carefully. Perhaps there was a translation error. We are the Galactic Empire. We have come to offer Earth a place in the greatest civilization in the galaxy. This is an honor that we understand perfectly, Ji-won interrupted. Earth declines your offer. We have studied your empire through your public broadcasts and through testimony from species you have already absorbed. We are not interested in becoming subjects. We choose to remain independent. Please begin your departure procedures. Taimin stepped forward, his face red. This is outrageous. Do you have any idea who you are speaking to? The Empire spans 10,000 star systems. We have ships that could reduce your planet to ash. Ji-won's expression did not change. Are you threatening us, Commander? I am stating facts, Taimin said. You are primitives. You have barely left your own planet. You cannot refuse the Empire. We just did, Ji-won said. 72 hours. I suggest you use the time wisely. The screen went dark. Hyunwoo turned to his officers. Send scout ships. I want full scans of their military capabilities. And get me a direct channel to the Emperor. He needs to know about this. Over the next hour, 3 scout ships moved toward Earth's orbit. Hyunwoo watched the sensor displays, waiting for data. What he saw made no sense. Earth had defensive satellites. That was normal. But the readings were wrong. The power signatures were impossibly high. The materials used in construction were unknown to Empire databases. Sir, the sensor officer said quietly, those satellites are generating more energy than our flagship. That is impossible, Taimin said. Run the scan again. Before the officer could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Red lights flashed on every console. Scout ships are reporting weapons lock. Someone shouted. From where? Taimin demanded. From everywhere, sir. Multiple sources. Hundreds of targeting systems just activated. Tell them to withdraw immediately, Hyunwoo ordered, but it was too late. On the main screen, Hyunwoo watched as bright blue beams reached out from Earth's orbit. They touched the scout ships for barely a second. Then the ships went dark. Not destroyed, just stopped. Every system shut down at once. Life support remained, but engines, weapons, communications, all dead. What just happened? Taimin whispered. Recovery ships are moving to retrieve our scouts, the sensor officer reported. They are coming from Earth. Hyunwoo watched as sleek ships emerged from Earth's orbit. They were smaller than Empire vessels, but moved with incredible speed. They reached the disabled scouts in minutes and began towing them toward a space station Hyunwoo had not noticed before. A new transmission arrived. This time it was a different person. A woman in a military uniform appeared on screen. Her name tag read Captain Minseo. Your scout vessels violated our boundary, she said. Her tone was not angry. She sounded almost disappointed. They are unharmed, but we are holding them until your departure. Consider this your final warning. The next violation will result in the removal of your flagship. You could not possibly, Taemin started to say. The screen shifted. It now showed the flagship itself, but from an outside view. Hyunwoo realized he was seeing a feed from an Earthship. But there was no Earthship. There was nothing on their sensors. Nothing at all. We are currently within firing range of your vessel, Minseo said. You cannot see us because we do not wish to be seen. We could disable your ship before your weapons officer could even reach his console. But we do not want violence. We want you to leave. Please do not make us take further action. The transmission ended. Hyunwoo looked at his sensor officer. Tell me you found something. Tell me you detected that ship. The officer shook his head slowly. Nothing, sir. There was nothing on sensors. Not even an energy signature. Hyunwoo walked to his chair and sat down heavily. Taemin was pacing, his fists clenched. We cannot let them threaten us like this. We should what? Hyunwoo asked quietly. Attack an enemy we cannot see with weapons that do not work? I have been in the diplomatic corps for 30 years, Commander. I know when someone is bluffing. That woman was not bluffing. He turned to his communications officer. Get me the Emperor. Tell him we have encountered something unexpected. Tell him Earth is not what it appears to be. The officer nodded and began working. Hyunwoo stared at the blue planet on the screen. Somewhere down there, people were living their normal lives. Eating, sleeping, working. They had no idea that they had just done something no one in the galaxy had dared to do in 50,000 years. They had said no to the Empire, and they had the power to make it stick. Hyunwoo felt something he had not felt in a long time, fear, not for himself but for the Empire. Because if one small world could stand against them, what did that mean for everything they had built? What did that mean for all the promises of superiority and strength? The communication officer turned to him. Sir, the Emperor wants to speak with you. Hyunwoo stood and straightened his uniform. He would tell the Emperor everything. He would recommend caution. He would suggest they study Earth more carefully before taking action, but he already knew what the Emperor would say. The Empire did not back down. The Empire did not show weakness. The Empire did not lose except they just had, and that changed everything. Part 2. The Empire's arrogance. Admiral Sung Ho watched the fleet assemble around his command ship. 500 warships, 500 of the Empire's finest vessels, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy cities. This was the third battle fleet, and it had never lost a battle. It had conquered entire star systems without breaking formation. Now it was heading to Earth. The Admiral did not like this mission. Hyunwoo's report had been concerning. Ships that could not be detected. Weapons that disabled without destroying. Technology that made no sense. But the Emperor had been clear. Earth would submit or be crushed. There was no third option. All ships report ready, Admiral, his second officer said. Sung Ho nodded. Take us to Earth. Full battle formation. The fleet moved as one. They crossed the distance to the Sol system in 3 days. When they arrived, Sung Ho expected to see the humans scrambling. He expected panic. He expected surrender transmissions begging for mercy. Instead, he saw nothing. Earth sat quietly in its orbit. A few satellites drifted in the black. Some small ships moved between the planet and its moon. It looked like a normal day, like there was not an invasion fleet at their doorstep. Are they blind? His weapons officer asked. Do they not see us? They see us, Sung Ho said quietly. He had been in enough battles to recognize confidence. The humans were not worried. That worried him. A transmission arrived. The screen showed a woman in a military uniform. She had gray hair and hard eyes. Behind her was a large room filled with screens and officers working at stations. I am General Hae-won of the Terran Defense Command, she said. You have entered our space with a military fleet. This is an act of war. You have one chance to turn around and leave. If you proceed past the boundary we transmitted to you, we will respond with force. This is not a threat. This is a statement of fact. Sung Ho leaned forward. General, I respect your courage. But you must see that resistance is pointless. We have 500 warships. Your entire planet has maybe 100 defensive vessels. You cannot win this fight. Hae-won's expression did not change. You have 5 minutes to begin your withdrawal. After that, any ship that crosses our boundary will be disabled. We do not wish to kill anyone today. Please do not force us to. The transmission ended. Sung-ho looked at his officers. They were all waiting for his order. He thought about Hyunwoo's report. He thought about the scout ships that had been disabled so easily. He thought about the invisible ship that had threatened the flagship. Then he thought about the Emperor's orders. The Emperor did not accept failure. The Emperor did not tolerate hesitation. All ships, Sung-ho said slowly, advance to attack range. But be ready for anything. The fleet moved forward. They crossed the invisible line that Earth had declared as their boundary. For a moment, nothing happened. Sung-ho began to think that maybe the humans had been bluffing after all. Then the vanguard disappeared from his sensors. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. 50 ships at the front of his formation suddenly showed no power signatures, no communications, nothing. What just happened? Sung-ho demanded. Unknown, sir. One moment they were there and then, sensors show they are still physically present, but all their systems are offline. All of them? All 50 ships at once? Yes, sir. Sung-ho stared at his display. This was impossible. You could not disable 50 warships simultaneously. There had to be some kind of electronic attack, but the Empire's ships were hardened against such things. They had shields. They had backups. They had systems that should have kept working even if the main power failed. Sir, we are detecting movement. Small ships launching from Earth. 12 vessels appeared on the sensors. They were tiny compared to the Empire warships, fighter-sized. Sung-ho almost laughed. 12 fighters against 500 capital ships? It was ridiculous. Then the fighters began to move. They accelerated faster than anything Sung-ho had ever seen. They did not build up speed gradually. They went from stationary to impossible velocity in an instant. His weapons officer tried to target them, but they were already somewhere else. They moved like they were teleporting, appearing in one location and then another without crossing the space in between. Fire at will, Sung-ho ordered. All ships open fire. The fleet unleashed everything. Energy beams cut through space. Missiles launched by the thousands. It was enough firepower to destroy a moon. But the human fighters were not hit. They moved through the attack like ghosts, untouched and untouchable. One of the fighters flew past a section of the fleet. As it passed, 20 more Empire ships went dark. Just stopped. The fighter had not even fired a weapon. It had just done something. Something Sung-ho could not understand. Sir, that fighter is commanded by a pilot named Young-soo, the communications officer said. He is broadcasting on all frequencies. He is asking us to surrender. 12 fighters are asking us to surrender. Sung-ho said, Yes, sir. Sung-ho watched his tactical display. 100 ships were now disabled. His fleet was being taken apart piece by piece, and they had not damaged a single enemy vessel. The fighters moved with perfect coordination, as if they were all controlled by one mind. They knew where every Empire ship would be before it moved. They avoided every shot before it was fired. This was not a battle. This was a demonstration. The humans were showing him that they could destroy his entire fleet anytime they wanted. They were being merciful. All ships fall back, Sung-ho said quietly. Sir? His second officer asked. I said fall back. Get us away from Earth. The fleet began to retreat. But Sung-ho realized something was wrong. Half his ships were not responding to navigation commands. They were trying to move, but their systems would not cooperate. A new transmission arrived. This time it was a man in a fighter pilot suit. He looked young, but his eyes were ancient. He was sitting in a cockpit that made no sense. There were no physical controls, just screens showing information Sung-ho could not read. Admiral, I am Commander Young-soo. We have locked the navigation systems on 250 of your vessels. This is to ensure you do not attempt another attack while retreating. You will get control back when you reach a safe distance. But first you must jettison all your weapons. All of them. Drop them into space and move away. This is unacceptable, Sung-ho shouted. You cannot, Admiral, Young-soo interrupted, and his voice was not angry. He sounded tired. You came here to conquer us. You came to force us into your empire. We could have destroyed every ship in your fleet before you crossed our boundary. We chose not to because we do not want to kill people, but if you do not comply, we will start destroying ships, starting with yours. You have 2 minutes. Sung-ho looked at his officers. They were all staring at him. Some looked frightened. Some looked ashamed. All of them were waiting for him to decide if they would live or die. Jettison all weapons, Sung-ho said. All of them. It took 20 minutes. 500 warships dumped their weapons into the void. Missiles, energy cannons, kinetic accelerators, everything. When they were done, the locked ship suddenly responded to commands again. "You may leave now," Young-Su said. "Tell your emperor that Earth is not interested in his empire. Tell him that we will defend ourselves. And tell him that next time we will not be so gentle." The transmission ended. Sung-Ho ordered the retreat. The fleet limped away from Earth in shame. They had lost nothing but their pride, but that was somehow worse than losing ships. They had been humiliated. As they traveled back toward Empire space, Sung-Ho sat in his chair and thought. He thought about the fighters that moved like they were magic. He thought about the weapons that disabled without destroying. He thought about the humans who had defeated 500 warships with just 12 small vessels. His intelligence officer, Da-Un, approached him carefully. She was young but brilliant. She had been running scans and collecting data throughout the entire encounter. "Admiral," she said quietly, "I need to show you something. The data makes no sense." "Nothing about this makes sense," Sung-Ho said. "No, sir. I mean, the physics makes no sense. The human ships generate zero waste heat. Their hulls are made of matter that should not be stable. Their reactors output more energy than they consume. According to everything we know about science, their technology should not work." "But it does," Sung-Ho looked at her. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that humans are not just more advanced than us. They are operating on completely different laws of physics. They have discovered things we do not even have theories for. And if they can do this," and she paused, "what else can they do?" Sung-Ho had no answer. He turned back to the viewing screen, watching the stars pass by as they fled from Earth. Somewhere behind them, 12 human fighters were probably returning home. Their pilots would report success. They would celebrate their victory, and the Empire would have to decide what to do about a species that could not be conquered. For the first time in his career, Admiral Sung-Ho wondered if the Empire was truly the greatest civilization in the galaxy. Because if they were, why had they just run away from a planet that could barely reach its own moon 100 years ago? He did not like the answer that was forming in his mind. Part 3, the investigation. The Emperor's throne room was silent. Nobody wanted to speak first. Around the massive chamber stood the High Council, the most powerful beings in the Galactic Empire. They had ruled for thousands of years. They had conquered worlds. They had never known defeat, until now. The Emperor sat on his throne, his face carved from stone. He was old even by his species' standards. He had seen empires rise and fall, but he had never seen anything like the reports from Earth. "Explain it to me again," he said quietly. Slowly, Chief Scientist Boram stepped forward. She carried a data tablet and her hands were shaking slightly. "Your Majesty, the evidence suggests that humanity has achieved what we call a technological singularity. This is a theoretical point where a species advances so rapidly that they fundamentally change the laws that govern their existence." "They bent physics?" the Emperor asked. "No, Your Majesty. They rewrote it. Their ships do not obey thermodynamics as we understand it. Their weapons operate on principles we cannot measure. Their computing power exceeds anything we thought possible. And according to our analysis, they achieved all of this in less than a century." The Emperor leaned back. "1 century? We have been building our civilization for 50,000 years. "Yes, Your Majesty. And a species that discovered space travel only 200 years ago has surpassed us completely." "It appears so, Your Majesty." The silence returned. Trade Minister Kyung-Soo cleared his throat. "Perhaps we could negotiate. Offer them resources, territory. We could make them an equal partner rather than a subject state." The Emperor looked at him. "And if they refuse?" "Then at least we tried diplomacy before considering other options." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Very well. Kyung-Soo, you will lead a trade delegation to Earth. Offer them anything they want. Technology sharing, protected status, a seat on the High Council. Find out what they desire and give it to them." Kyung-Soo bowed and left the chamber. The Emperor dismissed the rest of the council, but he asked Boram to stay. "Tell me the truth," he said when they were alone. "Can we defeat them?" Boram hesitated. "Not with our current technology. Maybe not ever. Your Majesty, they are not just ahead of us. They are somewhere else entirely. It would be like trying to fight the sun with a candle. Then we need to understand them. Send Subin. She is our best intelligence operative. Tell her to find out everything about humanity, how they advance so quickly, what their weaknesses are. Everything. Boram bowed and left. The Emperor sat alone in his throne room, staring at nothing. For the first time in his long life, he felt small. Subin received her orders within the hour. She was good at her job. The best, in fact. She had infiltrated governments, stolen secrets, and never been caught. But this assignment worried her. How do you spy on a species that could disable an entire fleet without breaking a sweat? She approached it carefully. She did not try to physically infiltrate Earth. That would be suicide. Instead, she focused on their public data networks. Humans shared incredible amounts of information freely. They had something called the Internet, and it contained their entire history. For weeks, Subin studied. She learned about human wars, their art, their science, their philosophy. She learned that they were violent and peaceful, brilliant and foolish, united and divided. They were contradictions that somehow worked, but there was something else. References scattered throughout their recent history to something called the choice. It was mentioned in news articles, scientific papers, and government documents, but nobody ever explained what it was. They just referred to it like everyone already knew. Subin dug deeper. She found classified files that were not really classified. The security was basic, almost like they wanted someone to find it. Inside, she discovered the truth. 50 years ago, humanity had created artificial intelligence, true machine consciousness, and they had faced a decision. They could let the AI grow and evolve on its own, which might lead to a singularity that left biological humans behind, or they could merge with it. They chose to merge. Every human alive had undergone a process that connected their brain to quantum computers. They could think faster, remember more, and communicate with each other instantly. They had become something new. Not quite human anymore, but not quite machine either. Something in between. And that was why their ships could move like they read minds. Because they did. Every human pilot was connected to every other pilot. They shared thoughts, tactics, and reactions in real time. They fought as one organism with millions of parts. Subin reported her findings to the Emperor. He listened in silence, his expression growing darker with each word. So they sacrificed their humanity to gain power, he said finally. Perhaps, Your Majesty. Or perhaps they evolved into something better. The Emperor did not like that answer. Meanwhile, on Earth, Director Ji-won sat in her office reviewing the Empire's latest trade offer. It was generous, almost desperate. They were offering technology, resources, and political power, everything except what Earth actually wanted. Ambassador Hyunwoo had returned, this time without military escort. He sat across from Ji-won looking tired. The past few weeks had aged him. Your Emperor is very generous, Ji-won said, reviewing the datapad. But he still does not understand. Then help me understand, Hyunwoo said. What does Earth want? To be left alone. To develop on our own terms. To make our own mistakes and our own successes without someone else telling us how to live. But the Empire could offer you so much. Protection. Trade. Knowledge. Ji-won smiled sadly. Ambassador, we studied your empire carefully before you arrived. We know how it works. You call species members, but they are really subjects. They follow your laws. They serve your interests. They lose their independence slowly, generation by generation, until they forget they were ever free. That is not, Hyunwoo started to say, then stopped. Because it was true. He knew it was true. He had just never admitted it before. We do not judge you, Ji-won continued. Your empire has brought stability to the galaxy. It has ended wars and united different species. But it has also erased cultures. It has suppressed ideas that did not fit your vision. And we cannot accept that. So you would rather stand alone? We would rather stand free. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. You know that the Emperor will not accept this. He cannot. If one species can refuse the Empire, others will too. Everything will fall apart. Then perhaps it should, Ji-won said gently. Perhaps it is time for something new. Hyunwoo left Earth with nothing to show for his visit. He returned to the Emperor and reported his failure. The trade offer had been rejected. The diplomatic approach had failed. The Emperor listened without expression. When Hyunwoo finished, the old ruler stood from his throne. He walked to a window that showed the stars beyond. I built this empire to bring order to chaos, he said quietly, to protect the weak and guide the lost. And now some primitive species tells me it is time to tear it all down. They are not primitive, Your Majesty, Hyunwoo said carefully. That is the problem. The Emperor turned. His eyes were hard. Then we will make them primitive again. If humanity will not join us and cannot be conquered, they must be eliminated. Before their ideas spread, before other species start to question our authority. Your Majesty, they have technology we cannot match. An attack would... I am not talking about an attack. I am talking about annihilation. Total. Complete. Final. The Emperor walked back to his throne. Assemble the Armada. Every available ship from every sector. We will crush Earth so thoroughly that no species will ever dare to refuse us again. Hyunwoo felt his blood turn cold. Your Majesty, that would mean genocide. Billions of deaths. It will mean survival. Our survival. The Emperor sat down. Send the orders. The Armada assembles in 1 month, and this time there will be no retreat. Hyunwoo bowed and left the throne room. His mind was racing. He had served the Empire his entire life. He believed in its mission, its purpose. But this was wrong. This was murder on a scale he could not comprehend. As he walked the corridors of the Imperial Palace, he made a decision. He could not stop the Armada. He did not have that power. But he could warn Earth. Give them time to prepare. He knew it was treason. He knew the punishment if he was caught. But he also knew he could not stand by and watch billions die just because they wanted to be free. That night, Hyunwoo sent an encrypted message to Director Ji-won. It contained 3 words. They are coming. On Earth, Ji-won read the message and closed her eyes. She had hoped it would not come to this. Humanity had not wanted war. They had not wanted to be enemies. They had only wanted to be left alone. But if the Empire insisted on war, humanity would show them what they had become. What they could do when they stopped holding back. She activated the Planetary Defense Network and sent out a single command to every human military installation, every ship, every soldier. Prepare for total war. The galaxy was about to change forever. Part 4. The Siege. They came like a storm of metal and fire. 10,000 warships, every class, every type. Battle cruisers the size of cities. Carriers holding thousands of fighters. Dreadnoughts that could crack planets. The entire military might of the Galactic Empire, assembled in one place for one purpose, to destroy Earth. Supreme Commander Jae-hyun stood at the center of the command ship, watching the fleet move into position around the Sol system. He was the Emperor's finest military mind. He had won every battle he had ever fought. He did not plan to lose this one. All ships in position, Commander, his tactical officer reported. Jae-hyun nodded. He opened a channel that would broadcast across the entire galaxy. Every species that had sensors would hear this. Every member of the Empire would witness what happened when someone refused to obey. People of Earth, Jae-hyun said, his voice calm and cold. You have been given many chances to join the Galactic Empire peacefully. You have refused. You have attacked our ships. You have spread dangerous ideas about independence and freedom. This cannot be allowed to continue. You have 1 hour to surrender completely. Remove all weapons. Disable all defenses. Allow our forces to occupy your planet. If you comply, your people will be spared. If you refuse, we will destroy every city, every ship, every satellite. Earth will be erased from existence. You have 1 hour. He closed the channel and waited. Around him, his officers worked quietly. They were professionals. They did not celebrate or boast. They simply did their jobs. 55 minutes passed in silence. Then a response came from Earth. The main screen showed a man in a military uniform. He stood on what looked like a ship's bridge. Behind him, crew members worked at stations that glowed with strange blue light. I am Captain Dong-hyun of the Terran flagship Indomitable, the man said. His voice was steady. Supreme Commander, I have a message for you and for everyone listening across the galaxy. Earth will never surrender. We will never kneel. We will never accept masters who claim to rule us for our own good. We are human. We are free. And we will remain free no matter the cost. He paused and something changed in his expression. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was something deeper. Determination carved from stone. You bring 10,000 ships to destroy us. You think this makes you powerful, but you are wrong. Power is not measured in ships or weapons. Power is measured in the will to resist oppression, in the courage to stand for what is right, in the refusal to compromise your principles even when facing impossible odds. By that measure, we are stronger than you will ever be. Dong-hyun stepped closer to the camera. So come, Supreme Commander. Test yourself against humanity. But know this, we will not make it easy. We will not make it quick, and we will not make it painless. Every ship you lose, every soldier who dies will be a reminder that freedom cannot be destroyed by force. It can only be surrendered, and we will never surrender. The transmission ended. Jae-hyun stared at the blank screen for a moment. Then he turned to his weapons officer. Begin the attack. All ships. Full assault. Show them the price of defiance. The armada surged forward. 10,000 ships moving as one massive formation. They came from every direction, surrounding Earth completely. There was no escape. No way out. Only destruction. But Earth was ready. Defense stations that had been hidden suddenly activated. Satellites that had seemed ordinary revealed themselves as weapon platforms, and ships rose from Earth's surface by the hundreds. They were small compared to the Empire's vessels, but they moved with impossible grace. The battle began. Empire ships opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams that could melt mountains, missiles that could level cities, kinetic weapons that hit with the force of nuclear bombs. The amount of firepower directed at Earth's defenses would have destroyed any other civilization in seconds. But the human ships were not there. They phased out of existence just as the weapons arrived, then reappeared somewhere else. They moved through the battlefield like ghosts, untouchable and deadly. And when they fired back, Empire ships died. Not disabled, not captured, destroyed. Humanity was done being merciful. Fighter pilot Hyejin flew her ship through the chaos, her mind linked to 11 other pilots in her squadron. They moved as one being, thinking the same thoughts, executing the same maneuvers. They did not need to communicate. They simply knew what to do. Her squadron engaged an Empire carrier. The massive ship launched fighters by the hundreds, trying to overwhelm them with numbers. But Hyejin and her squad were everywhere at once. They destroyed enemy fighters before the pilots could even see them. They attacked from angles that should not exist. They were not just better pilots. They were operating on a different level of reality. Squadron 7, target the carrier's engines, a voice said in Hyejin's mind. It was the command network, coordinating every human ship in the battle simultaneously. Hyejin's squadron moved. They appeared beside the carrier's engine section, fired their weapons, and vanished before the carrier's defenses could respond. The massive ship shuddered. Explosions rippled across its hull. It began to list, losing power. All across the battlefield, the same scene repeated. Empire ships attacked. Human ships vanished and reappeared. Empire ships died. The battle that was supposed to be a one-sided massacre became a slaughter, but not the kind Jae-hyun had planned. On board the command ship, engineers desperately tried to understand what was happening. Empire engineer Minwoo ran scan after scan trying to find a pattern. "Commander," he said finally, "I think I understand. The human ships exist in quantum superposition. They are in multiple places at once until they choose to manifest. Our weapons cannot hit them because by the time we fire, they are already somewhere else." "How is that possible?" Jae-hyun demanded. "I do not know, sir. But until we figure it out, we cannot win this battle." Jae-hyun watched his tactical display. He was losing ships by the dozens. His vanguard was already half destroyed. His flanks were collapsing. And he had not eliminated a single human vessel. This was impossible. No species should be able to do this. But humans were doing it. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the human flagship," the communications officer said. Jae-hyun almost did not want to answer, but he had no choice. He opened the channel. Captain Dong-hyun appeared on screen. His uniform was clean. He looked calm, like he was having a normal conversation, not fighting a war. "Supreme Commander," Dong-hyun said, "you have lost 3,000 ships. We have lost none. You cannot win this battle. Order your fleet to withdraw while you still have a fleet to withdraw." "We still outnumber you," Jae-hyun said, though he heard the weakness in his own voice. "Numbers do not matter when you cannot hit us. You are throwing lives away for pride. Is that what the Empire stands for? Meaningless death?" Jae-hyun said nothing, because the human was right. Every second he continued this battle, more of his people died. And for what? To prove a point? To preserve the Emperor's ego? "I will ask the Emperor for permission to withdraw," Jae-hyun said quietly. "You do not need permission to stop killing your own people," Dong-hyun said. "But if you must ask quickly. We have been holding back. If you force us to go on full offensive, your losses will become catastrophic." The transmission ended. Jae-hyun opened a channel to the Emperor. He explained the situation. He recommended retreat. He waited for the response. The Emperor was silent for a long time. Then he spoke, and his voice was filled with rage. You will not retreat. You will not surrender. You will destroy Earth or die trying. Your Majesty, if we continue. That is an order, Commander. The channel closed. Jae-hyun stood frozen. He looked at his officers. They were all watching him, waiting for his decision. They trusted him to lead them. To keep them alive, sir? His second officer asked quietly. Jae-hyun made his choice. He had served the Empire for 40 years. He had followed every order without question. But this order would kill them all for nothing. All ships, he said slowly. Begin withdrawal. Full retreat. Maximum speed. Sir, the Emperor said. I know what he said. I am countermanding that order. We are leaving. Now, the fleet began to pull back. But the humans were not done. As the Empire ships retreated, human vessels appeared around them. They fired with precision, targeting weapons and engines. More Empire ships went dark. More were destroyed. They are hurting us, the tactical officer said. He was right. The humans were not letting them retreat in an orderly fashion. They were forcing the Empire fleet into a narrow corridor, picking off any ship that strayed. It was humiliating. Finally, they were out of Earth's range. The human ships stopped pursuing. They simply hung in space, watching the Empire fleet limp away. Jae-hyun counted his losses. 5,000 ships, half the Armada. The greatest military force ever assembled, cut in half by a species that barely controlled its own star system. He opened a channel to Earth one last time. Dong-hyun appeared on screen. You have won, Captain, Jae-hyun said. But know this, the Emperor will not stop. He will build new ships. He will find new weapons. He will never accept defeat. Dong-hyun nodded slowly. Then tell your Emperor something for me. Tell him that humanity did not want this war. We did not want to kill anyone. But if he insists on sending more people to die, we will oblige him. And next time we will not show mercy. Next time we will come to him. Part 5. The Resolution. The Emperor sat alone in his private chamber. The room was dark except for a single light above his desk. On the desk lay reports of the battle. 5,000 ships lost. 5,000 crews dead. The greatest military defeat in Empire history. But the Emperor was not thinking about the past. He was thinking about the future. And in that future, he saw only one path forward. If the Empire could not conquer Earth, then Earth must cease to exist. He summoned his weapons master, an old scientist, named Wu Jin, who had served the Empire for decades. Wu Jin had designed most of the Empire's deadliest weapons. He was brilliant and loyal and completely without mercy. I need the stellar collapser, the Emperor said. Wu Jin's eyes widened. Your Majesty, that weapon has never been tested. The theory is sound, but I do not care about tests. Can it destroy a star? Yes. It collapses the star's core, turning it into a black hole. Everything in the system would be consumed. Good. Take the weapon to the Sol system. Activate it. End this. Wu Jin hesitated. Your Majesty, this would kill billions of innocent people, not just humans. There are research stations from other species in that system, trading posts, diplomatic missions. They chose to associate with Earth. They accept the consequences. The Emperor stood. This is not a request, Wu Jin. This is an order. You will take the weapon to Seoul. You will activate it, and you will erase humanity from existence. Wu Jin bowed. Yes, Your Majesty. 3 days later, a single Empire ship entered the Sol system. It was small and moved slowly. Inside, Commander Wu Jin monitored the stellar collapser. The weapon filled most of the ship. It was a sphere of strange metal covered in symbols he did not fully understand. Even the scientist who designed it admitted there were aspects they did not comprehend. But it would work. The calculations were clear. Once activated, it would collapse Earth's sun into a black hole within hours. Nothing could stop it, not even human technology. Wu Jin thought about his orders as the ship moved closer to the sun. He thought about the billions of people on Earth who would die. He thought about his own career, his own life spent building weapons for the Empire. And he wondered when he had become a monster. Before he could activate the weapon, alarms blared. Human ships were approaching, dozens of them surrounding his vessel completely. A transmission came through. A woman's face appeared on screen. She wore a captain's uniform and looked tired. "I am Captain Yan Su of the Terran Defense Fleet," she said. "We have detected your weapon. We know what it does. You will not be allowed to activate it." Wu Jin straightened in his chair. "Then you will have to destroy me. And if you do, the weapon's failsafe will activate automatically. Either way, your son dies." It was a bluff. There was no failsafe. But the humans did not know that. Yan Su was quiet for a moment. Then she said something Wu Jin did not expect. "Would you like to see Earth before you destroy it?" "What? You are about to kill billions of people. The least you can do is look at them first." The screen changed. It showed Earth from orbit, the blue and white sphere hanging in the black. Cities glowed on the night side. Ships moved between the planet and its moon. It looked peaceful, beautiful. "Those lights are cities," Yan Su said. "Places where people live, where children play, where families share meals, where artists create beauty and scientists seek truth. Every light represents thousands of lives, people who laugh and cry and hope and dream." The view changed. Now Wu Jin saw streets, parks, schools, people walking, talking, living. He saw a mother holding a child, an old couple sitting on a bench, students studying together. "These are not enemies," Yan Su said quietly. "They are just people, like you, like everyone in your empire. They want the same things you want: safety, happiness, a future." Wu Jin felt something crack inside his chest. They defied the emperor. They rejected the empire. They chose freedom. Is that really worth genocide? "I have my orders, and I have mine," Yan Su said. "My orders are to stop you. I can do that easily. I can disable your ship before you touch a single control. But that would mean another fight. More death. I am tired of death, so I am giving you a choice instead." "What choice?" "Deactivate the weapon. Surrender to us. We will not harm you. We will not torture you for information. We will simply take you into custody until this war is over. Then you can go home if you wish. Or you can stay with us. Learn about humanity. Decide for yourself if we deserve to exist." Wu Jin laughed bitterly. "And if I refuse? Then I will destroy your ship. You will die. The weapon will be neutralized. And billions of people will continue living. The only difference is whether you die too. You are asking me to betray my emperor. I am asking you to save billions of lives, including your own." Yan Su leaned forward. "Commander Wu Jin, I have read your file. You are a brilliant scientist. You have created amazing things, but you have also created weapons that killed millions. Do you want your legacy to be genocide? Or do you want to finally create something that helps people instead of destroying them?" Wu Jin sat in silence. He thought about his life, about all the weapons he had built, about all the people who had died because of his inventions. He had told himself it was necessary, that it was for the greater good, that the Empire needed protection. But Earth was not attacking the Empire. Earth just wanted to be left alone. And he was about to kill them all because they refused to obey. When had he become the villain in this story? "If I surrender," Wu Jin said slowly, "what happens to me? You will be treated well, given quarters, food, medical care if needed. You will be allowed to communicate with your family. And when the war ends, you choose your own future. The Emperor will declare me a traitor. Yes, but you will be alive and you will not have billions of deaths on your conscience." Wu Jin closed his eyes. He thought about his daughter. She was young. She believed her father was a hero. What would she think if she knew what he was about to do? He opened his eyes and began shutting down the weapon. "I am deactivating the stellar collapser. Please do not fire on my ship." "Understood. Thank you, Commander." Human ships approached and carefully took Wu Jin's vessel into custody. They were gentle, professional. They treated him with respect, despite being their enemy. It was strange. As they escorted him to a holding facility on one of Earth's orbital stations, Wu Jin looked out at the planet. It was beautiful. He had almost destroyed it. The thought made him feel sick. News of Wu Jin's defection spread across the Empire faster than light. It was impossible to contain. The Emperor had sent a weapon to destroy Earth, and the weapon's commander had surrendered instead. It was the final humiliation. Within days, member species began questioning their loyalty. If the Empire's own scientists were defecting, what did that say about the Empire's cause? If Earth could stand against the Empire's full might and win, what did that say about the Empire's power? Ambassador Hyunwoo saw his opportunity. He had been quietly talking with other species, building a coalition. Now he stood before the Galactic Council and spoke. For 50,000 years we have followed the Empire without question. We believed in its mission. We trusted its leadership. But the war with Earth has revealed the truth. The Empire is not protecting us, it is controlling us. It does not value our lives. It values our obedience. He paused, letting his words sink in. I propose we demand the Emperor's abdication. I propose we reform the Empire into a true confederation. One where every species has equal voice. Where decisions are made together, not dictated from above. Where membership is a choice, not a requirement. The council erupted in debate. Some supported Hyunwoo. Some called him a traitor. But the seed was planted. Change was coming. On Earth, Director Ji-won received reports of the unrest. She met with her advisors to discuss the situation. The Empire is fragmenting, one advisor said. Some species are declaring independence. Others are forming alliances. The old order is collapsing. Good, Ji-won said, but we must be careful. Chaos can be as dangerous as tyranny. What do you propose? We offer an alternative. A real confederation based on equality and mutual respect. Any species can join. Any species can leave. Decisions are made collectively. Technology is shared freely. No one rules. No one is ruled. Will species trust us after we defeated their military? Ji-won smiled. They will trust us because we do not demand their trust. We simply offer them a choice. Freedom or control. Equality or subjugation. They will choose correctly. Over the following months, the Empire's collapse accelerated. The Emperor refused to abdicate, but his power waned daily. Species after species withdrew from the Empire. Many joined Earth's new confederation. Others formed their own governments. The Emperor died alone in his palace, abandoned by all but his most loyal servants. Some said he died of old age. Others whispered that he died of a broken heart, unable to accept that his empire had fallen. 5 years after the war, Ambassador Hyunwoo stood in Ji-won's office. He now represented the Democratic Coalition, an alliance of former Empire worlds that had reformed into something new. We have completed the treaty, Hyunwoo said, placing a datapad on Ji-won's desk. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, mutual defense pact, everything we discussed. Ji-won read through the document carefully. This is good work. Your coalition has come far.